On this episode of Star Trek Universe, it has finally freaking arrived. Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 1, The Next Generation. We're talking about it right now. Hell yeah. Right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where two lifelong friends sit around and chat about Star Trek. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
Dave, we've
Yes.
seen it. Picard, Season 3, Episode 1. We've got multiple legacy characters showing up. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I was really excited. Like, I noticed like the font at the beginning, the blue and the font. And I
Oh,
was
yeah,
just
of
like,
course.
Oh, is this Wrath of Khan? Is that what they're hinting at here? And then they said in the 25th century, and I was like, oh shit, that's exactly what they're doing. Which lends more credence to your theory that Ed What's-His-Face is Picard's son.
I agree completely that that's what it's hinting at.
Mm-hmm.
Couple weird things, though.
Yeah.
Has a British accent.
Yeah.
I guess he was raised somewhere where they gave him a British accent. Picard doesn't know him, so didn't get that accent from Picard.
He did have a face, though, when he said it was when he said he was Beverly's son.
For sure. But that guy is not 20 years old either. He's the actor's 35. I had to look it up because I was just like, I'm bad with ages.
Yeah.
He did not look 20. It'd be weird if they cast a 35-year-old to play a 20-year-old or younger than 20 because it's been 20 years since Beverly left them. So I do kind of feel like with Picard mentioning not seeking legacy and the obvious Wrath of Khan references, I feel like it might be a red herring. I feel like they want us to think it's Picard's son for now. Maybe. The episode is also called The Next Generation.
That's true. And Metalis has been talking, Terry Metalis, the showrunner and the writer of this episode, has been talking a lot about bringing it to the next generation to the next generation.
Right. And this character, I got to say, just with the 4 seconds we got with him, when he jumps in the room and starts like grabbing on the little pads and talking in his British accent, immediately I was like, this guy's charismatic. I can tell, like, I could totally see him being like a new crew member for a new generation of Trek.
Yeah, I can see it.
Especially if he's a Picard.
Yeah, I can see them doing it. I can see them not doing it. I don't know. But I'm excited, man. I dug it. I loved all the... I love how much... whatever his name, Todd Stashwick's captain is such a dick to Seven of Nine.
Yeah, Captain Shaw. I loved Captain Shaw. I feel like we were supposed to hate Captain Shaw. Our protagonists all hated Captain Shaw.
Yeah.
And I was just watching him like, oh man, I love this guy. He's just such a smarmy asshole.
Oh, yes, yeah. Terry Metalis is a huge fan of all the movies, and you could tell because he created his own version of Captain Styles from Star Trek 3.
Okay.
The guy who was like, who captained the Excelsior, who was like, Kirk, if you do this, you'll never sit in the center seat again.
Right. Yeah, but this guy was just so much, I don't know, so much better, like the way he chewed the scenery.
Oh no, man, don't never disrespect Doogie Howser's daddy now.
I'm sorry, this guy was better. The way that he like chewed the scenery and just like, it kept like having these really small personal slights and just passive aggressive things. The eating before they showed up, the like just ignoring their like whatever, and then of course the real aggression when he's just I gotta say though, like as much as I know the whole Borg thing is like it's a whole part of the Star Trek story right now that the Federation is kind of getting over their Borg hatred. That's Seven's whole thing. It also, there's like 2 that we know of, ex-Borg in Starfleet, or like that are part of Starfleet, and they work together to like steal the Titan and like take it to the wrong part of the universe, and then like let off one of those ex-Borg into their own shuttle to go do some thing. Like, yeah, like I would be pretty Borg suspicious at that point too. It's like, I know that it's because they were both protagonists of different shows, popular protagonists from like Voyager and Next Generation, but like watching from Shaw's perspective, and he has this Borg hatred because he mentions it multiple times. Well, first off, he won't let Seven call herself Seven. She makes her call herself Annika, so that was the first clue.
Right out of the gate, piece of shit's dead naming her.
Exactly. I don't think that's the thing a captain's allowed to do. Just like, nope, I'm gonna rename you. That doesn't seem very Starfleet to me.
No, it doesn't.
But other than all of that, his Borg prejudice aside, even though in this case it felt pretty understandable. Like, if you're suspicious of Borg and then that happens on your ship, it's like, I don't know, man. Okay, but I thought mostly he's just doing things by the book. And, like, I can't be mad at an officer for doing things by the book, you know? He's just doing his job.
It's the 25th century, man. They ain't got no books, man. Except to Picard's stuffy old library.
Yeah, not if Ron DeSantis has anything to say about it. Ooh, politics. Okay, what do you think of, what'd you think of the Beverly storyline? I feel like that's the big mystery.
I mean, I don't know what the hell's happening. Like, I wish I could, like, I wish I had a good enough memory for Star Trek to know what the hell was playing, like the ship, the captain's log that was playing when the episode began, talking about the Enterprise being inside of the cloud and waiting for the Borg. And
I mean, obviously it's going to be a Borg episode, and it seems like it would be an early Borg episode because it wouldn't be after Best of Both Worlds, because he says, like, why do the Borg have this attachment to us or whatever? Yeah. You know what I bet it was? I bet it was that one. I bet it was Best of Both Worlds. I don't remember if they end up hiding from the Borg in that episode. Can't remember what in part one very well.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, we're like recording this right after it dropped, so
so we're not watching any like recap videos or, like,
right.
We try to get our own personal takes first before we go see what the internet's saying.
We'll get to that shit next week, I guess, but
we'll find out if the internet has all kinds of things. It's the 3 a.m. here, and we're watching
the 3 a.m.
It's the 3 a.m. I bet it was that one, because I bet that's supposed to be the implication that, like, He said that the reason she used that Hellbird code was because
when he was Locutus,
right?
It
when
was
he was
a virus
Locutus,
that was wreaking havoc on the Enterprise.
Yeah, so I wonder if Beverly was listening to that old log and walking down memory lane, and then this attack happened, and then she was like, that code. Like, maybe that's supposed to be the connection there.
Yeah, I can see that.
It is weird, though, that she chose that code, seeing as she's sending it to the one member of the Enterprise who wouldn't know that code.
That is funny.
Yeah. It's obviously it's a reason he'd have to get with Riker, but doesn't really make sense why she would do that.
Unless she intended for him to, like, seek out Riker. I mean, you know.
Right. But then you'd think somewhere in the message she would be a
stretch.
She'd be like, go find Penthos Pizza or whatever.
Right. I mean, she might just not remember. You know, she might think like, well, he was Locutus. Maybe he knew. Maybe he knows about it.
Right. Yeah, just a small little thing that seemed weird. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Beverly. It's an interesting mystery. Just the idea that they've like, put her in this situation. We don't know what her deal is. The bigger mystery than like the attack even is that she just disappeared from their lives 20 years ago, and none of the crew knows why. Like, that's a big development that we had no idea about, and it seems like something that really broke Picard's heart, because he just never knew that this would be their last time seeing each other, and she just disappeared. So that's a big mystery. I'm excited to hear what happened. Now, it seems like it could have something to do with a kid, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's definitely not 20, so that's weird. She's Starfleet Medical, though. Maybe she, like, used baby growth serum or something.
I mean, maybe. I mean, who's to say that she had him 20 years ago? You know?
Well, yeah, sure, it's possible she had it before, but we've discussed it before. It just seems weird that, especially if he's Picard's son, why wouldn't she have told him in the 15 years they were still like friends and trying to be romantic together?
Because she didn't want her son out gallivanting around galaxies with his father.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, I don't know. I'm very interested to see what they're weaving here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. And I like the idea that whatever this plot is that Crusher's running from might somehow be tied to the reason she stopped being their friend 20 years ago. It kind of gives it like an anchor point to the story that is more meaningful than if it was just that if all this is just like she's under attack, let's go fight some bad guys, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That the mystery of why she left gives it like a much more emotionally weighty I don't know, pull to it.
Well, we have heard that she's, fighting for people that the Federation seems to have forgotten.
Yeah.
So we have that little nugget of information in there.
Yeah, we do. That was some in an interview, one of the creators said that.
Yeah, man, I want to know why Deanna and Kestra don't want to be seeing Will now.
Yeah, right. That was a ominous line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. And like we're obviously not supposed to know yet. I don't know that we'll find out in this series because it seemed like a thing he was saying is going on, but then he was like, "And now to our adventure," you know.
Oh, we'll see it. I mean, we see Deanna in the trailer, so
that's right.
She'll be around.
That's right. She'll be around. I forgot. I was just thinking, like, seems like he's going to be on this adventure. Like, we may never get that conversation on this series. Maybe that's saving that for Star Trek Riker.
Riker's Island. Newly divorced Will Riker finds an island where they play jazz all day long.
Shaw giving him shit about his jazz was really great.
Yeah. Sounded like an old man, like, scoured that bebop from the systems. Shaw's just such a dick.
Yep, he really is. But I dig it.
Bethany, my wife Bethany, made a comment that because they've taken such great pains to make Shaw such a dick, he's going to be like the guy that they can trust in the end.
Yeah.
It's going to help save the day.
Maybe. I don't know about that. He seems like too much of a dick. Like, he seemed like the inverse of... There's what we've always made to talk about the asshole commanding officer that steps in and, is always like, whatever. It's always the asshole admiral or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's like, oh, it's just, now it's a subordinate kind of. But it's like, I don't know. It just seems like everyone except the main crew that you're following is assholes in the Federation. It's like, and even in like lower decks, they're always like talking about other crews and they're like competitive with them and stuff. It just seems like the Federation has this weird thing where you build this community on the ship and everyone outside of that community is terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of lower decks, did you love Picard and Riker sleeping in the lower decks chambers?
Yes, absolutely. It was great.
And of course, that's just wonderful since Shaw, was that his name? Shaw?
Yeah.
Was like, forgive the quarters is the best we could do on these, on such a unlimited.
Such short notice.
Yes, short notice. That's what I'm looking for. And then it was the lower decks chambers. Like, I dug that. He's such a jackass.
Yeah, I love it.
He totally called them though. He was like, retired Admiral.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations on that, by the way. I love that actor. I would watch a show about him. I know he seems like a total asshole, or at least like he doesn't. Honestly, he just seems like a by the book guy who doesn't like. It reminded me a lot of when I saw that first episode between of DS9 when it's Picard talking to Benjamin Sisko for the first time, and like Benjamin Sisko hates Picard for very good reason, and it's that moment where like he's a great guy, great commander, but he hates the captain that we all love. And that's kind of how I felt about Shaw. Like, I was like, Shaw's a by-the-book guy. Seems like it'd be kind of boring to watch a show about him since he's so by-the-book. But, like, also, I'm digging him. I thought he was great.
Yeah. Yeah. They should do a spinoff with Shaw and call it Angelica's Honor. I don't know, man. I really enjoyed it. How did you like the little turn that Rafi was not really a druggie, that she was?
I kind of was expecting it.
Really?
Yeah. Just because she was there and asking about, saying if I can just tell Starfleet this one thing. I was like, she's got two obsessions. Yes, she's had drug abuse problems, but it's always because like she gets too into some mystery where she's like trying to figure out why the Federation is doing what they're doing or whatever.
Every time she watches true crime, she starts grabbing Molly. Like,
yeah. She's like a drug addict and like a conspiracy addict, Yeah. And so she's trying to figure that out, and it definitely like. I was watching that. I was like, okay, they're wanting us to believe she's a drug addict, but she's definitely like pumping this guy for information. And then when she put the pad on the table with all that money, I was like, yeah, she's just, I don't know. It was believable, which is why the scene worked. But it also, I was pretty sure that I wasn't sure though at the end though when she looks at the drug and is like, maybe she'd take it anyway. Get that sort of like, she's on the right side of the law, but she's sneaking little drugs here and there.
I call that a spy tax.
When she didn't do the drug though, like, come on, Rafi, the kids live here. During the day, there's probably kids in this neighborhood.
Right.
To throw the drugs on the ground.
Now I'm gonna imagine every time I walking around in downtown Birmingham or something, I see like a crack pipe on the ground. That was just a spy who was like wrestling with her inner demons.
Oh,
she just dropped it. Just dropped it.
She just threw that space heroin right on the ground.
Yep. I wish they actually did call it space heroin.
Yeah, me too.
Space crank.
What did you think of her mysterious handler?
I thought you were going to say hand job.
Why?
I don't know. You said mysterious hand, and I just in my head just had job come after that.
Mysterious does not modify hand job very often, and if it does,
it is to me.
You're probably hanging out in those weird alleys.
I don't know, man. I think it does, but hey,
what do you think of her mysterious handler?
I don't know, man. Seemed like kind of a dick. Everybody who's not, like you were saying.
Right. Well, it made me think they weren't Starfleet.
Yeah, like they're tricking her into thinking they're Starfleet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That
whole thing of like, we both work for Starfleet. And I'm like, do you? Or is this like someone that's feeding you jobs and this is like a Memento situation?
Yeah, I can see that.
Someone like giving you jobs that aren't really related to the thing you're trying to follow up with. Although, clearly the weapon is real. And
for sure.
Yeah. What was it? It looked like it was a teleporter.
It looked like a video game Portal.
Yes, absolutely. But it made me think of like someone was like beaming an entire city into like the sky and then dropping it.
Yeah, just like that building.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
And then dropping it on the rest of the city.
Yeah, it was wild, man. That seems like it should have almost been a bigger deal. So my overall thoughts about this episode, I guess, like just to give the 100,000-foot view of it, I liked it. I liked seeing the characters again, and I thought Riker was great, and Picard was as good as he's been. I like him. I like seeing him again. it didn't hook me fully. Like the main thing that hooks me is the Beverly mystery. Everything else is kind of like thus far not really hooking me. I don't know. I guess like I watching that opening scene, we talked a lot about, and we were watching the trailers, like, are they going to be a little too action centric? Which I don't think this episode was, but they have like first 5 minutes where like Beverly Connor, John Connor's mom, like goes all like full Sarah Connor and just like starts doing her thing. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a Beverly thing. I know she's carried guns in the past, like insurrection and stuff.
Yeah, we haven't seen her in 20 years.
Yeah.
Clearly she's being hunted, like Ed Spittleboop said.
Crusher's son. Yeah. No, for sure. They're being hunted. She definitely like has some fighting skill. It just seemed like a overly action oriented opening. It worried me is all I was getting at. I didn't hate it. It just kind of worried me, like, oh, this is exactly what we were worried about. Like this, I don't really need to see Beverly Crusher. Like I need to see her making like conferring with Picard about medical decisions. I don't really need to see her.
I'd rather see her running around with a gun killing folk than boinking a candle ghost.
Yeah, I can't say that I would. I would love to see her boinking a candle ghost.
Yeah, maybe in her younger years.
Oh, man. Speaking of Picard's love interest, I didn't remember Picard Season 2 ending with I thought Laris left.
No. Laris and
end.
Picard were like all up in each other's grill. They finally kissed and it like pulled out right before he did.
Okay.
No,
gotcha.
it pulled out with him kissing and him finally accepting the what have you of a relationship again. And I was glad that like they kept that relationship there because they started announcing cast for season 3 and talking about possible romance for Picard and stuff. And Laris wasn't involved in that cast list. People were freaking out because they were saying like, "Oh, he just got with Laris at the end of season 2, only to like just not be with her in season 3." So I'm glad that she was there, and still clearly a very important part of his life.
Yeah, for sure. I really liked the speech from Seven when she's talking about being a ranger. Because it was, I'd love to go back and see if they actually comp parts of this scene, but there is almost a very similar conversations about her when she's talking about being a ranger and how it's way more just simpler to do that. Just a simpler world than this Federation. She had a very similar thoughts in early days of Voyager when she was like, when I was a Borg, it was simple. I was like, it was the hive mind. I knew what to do. And now being human again, it's like all these just differing opinions inside of me and all this stuff. Like it was just I think it was a clear intentional thing that she's going through where she like was a part of the collective. That's really all she's ever known. And she tries to become human and she almost misses the collective in some ways. And then this sort of the same thing. She's been a ranger all this time, finally decides to come in from the cold and be in the Federation, and now she's having that same sort of like, it was so simpler before this Federation took me in,
Yeah. And she did mention Picard and Janeway convinced her to enter Starfleet. I would bet anything that whatever, Shaw? Is that his name? It's bothering me because his name is like Stashwick or something in real life, so I keep wanting to call him like Stash, I'll bet anything that like she winds up having to talk to Janeway and have like a heart to heart with her. I bet they'll bring Mulgrew in for a minute.
That'd be neat. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I'd love to know the timeline between this and Prodigy.
Well,
I want to know. I guess there's probably like start
you
dates
probably
or something.
Could figure it out. I'm not going to right now. It's 4 o'clock in the morning now.
A couple nice little ship things that happened. No one wants the fat ones. The Enterprise D.
Yeah, I'm like laughing that they like basically did an advertisement for Eagle Moss after Eagle Moss got bankrupted and is no longer making anything.
Oh, I don't know what Eagle Moss is. Is that their toy company?
That's the company that made all those ships, all those specifically all those ships that were in the 10 Forward bar.
Oh wow, okay. Those I didn't know those were actual toys.
Oh, they're not toys; they're models, Matt.
Toys, yeah, I got you.
If I wasn't so tired, I'd come kick your ass.
What did you think of the Neo Constitution class?
Oh yeah, the what is it? What was it? Neo Constitution class?
Yeah,
is that what? I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I thought you'd enjoy the design.
I do enjoy the design. There's a little, bugaboos I've got with it, but as far as the design, but I do think it's funny, and it's one of the things like I loved the most about this episode was just how Terry Matalas has talked about how much he loves those TOS movies, and it just shows so much. He did all the Nick Meyer things. He had the little whistle thing that I can't remember the name of when the captain and the admiral came on the bridge. Admiral's inspection. That's totally a friggin' Wrath of Khan thing. Totally a naval thing that they played into really hard in the Nick Meyer, Harv Bennett era of Trek. And that's my favorite era of Trek. I absolutely love those first 6 movies.
Yeah.
I just loved all, and I loved they used the First Contact music and the proper Next Generation music, which
Yeah, I loved the Next Generation music. One thing I thought was weird about it being a Neo Constitution class, I didn't think refits changed your class designation. Like has that ever happened in a previous Star Trek? I've always known it like it's the Constitution class and they have refits, right? And it's the whatever class and they have refits. The Titan was Riker's old ship, and then he's like, he says it's the new refit, Neo Constitution class. And I was like, what? You don't change class when you refit. At least that's never happened before. That was a weird thing. And you could say, I don't know, the Titan from this universe has never been seen before, right? Because we saw the Titan in All Good Things.
We saw it in, beta. Well, I guess we actually have seen it in, Lower Decks.
Okay.
We saw it a bunch on Lower Decks.
Right, but I don't think they've ever said what class it was. So, according to Memory Alpha, it's Luna class.
Okay.
But I don't know that that's ever been said on screen. That might be from games and stuff. Or extended canon.
Right.
But either way, the scene is weird because I've never known them to change the class based on a refit. They refit classes, but they don't just change the class. I don't know. But then, so you could say maybe it was always the Neo Constitution class, but then why would Riker be telling Picard that? I don't know. So it's definitely they changed the class of the ship, which I think is weird.
I mean, it was clearly Riker's old ship because it had all of his bullshit in it. That
oh no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's definitely the old ship, but the way he talks to Picard about it means that
yeah, I get what you're saying.
The class itself is new. So they reclassified it with the refit, I guess. But that's weird. I've just never heard them do that before.
Which, it makes me think of the current ongoing Star Trek series that where Sisko comes back from the wormhole and he puts together a Starfleet crew to go figure out who's killing these gods, these celestial beings of the Star Trek universe. They have a concept in there that they introduced where there was a ship, is called the USS Theseus, and it was a ship that Scotty designed back 80 years or so prior, where it was like you could just keep, there was like modular, and you can keep changing out all of the components and making it a different class of ship. Essentially, that's what it's making me think of.
Right. Yeah,
and that's a comic that just started coming out. So I'm wondering if that's an idea they're starting to just float out there as far as like franchise goes.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that is possible. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about this episode, man?
I don't really think I have anything else. I liked seeing Geordi's daughter both in real life and canon-wise.
How do we not mention her yet? I was really excited to see her, and to she seemed really to have a lot of affection for Picard and Riker when they walked around the ship. She's smiling so big, and she's like, been a long time. Like, she's probably a little kid when they last saw her, you know? Especially it's been 20 years. I just thought that was awesome. That was great. I thought that the entirety of the crew of the Titan, they did a lot of focusing on a few of those characters. Obviously, LaForge. There was a Bajoran that they got a couple lines, and there was a green-faced character that I didn't recognize the species of. But it seemed like those were not background actors, I guess is what I mean. Like, they were actors. They seemed like they had personalities. They were given a couple of lines. They gave.
Are you saying this is this whole episode is a backdoor pilot for another series?
Possibly. I do love Captain Shaw, but no, I just mean I think those characters will be back. Like, I don't know that they'll get another series, but it could be a Strange New World situation where we all love that crew and go, give us a series. But I'm just saying, I think they're not done. I think that that crew is going to be around. I mean, definitely Geordi's daughter, for sure. But it seemed like that entire bridge crew are actors that will return. It just based on their the amount of screen time they got, the amount of interaction they got. I don't know.
It seems likely, very likely.
Seemed like character building to me.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. I'm here for whatever they've got.
Me too. And so it's called the episode's called Next Generation, and I was trying to figure out what that means. Obviously, it's a reference to the show, The Next Generation, and that time period of Trek. But I think it's also we're seeing multiple descendants of the Next Generation crew with LaForge's kid and Crusher's kid. So I don't know. I think that's what the title means, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like a theme of what's happening in the season too.
Mm-hmm. The creators have talked about that a little bit, trying to do the next generation, and make that part of what's happening here. So I don't know. I dug it a lot. I thought I really did.
Yeah, they don't have to do much as long as they make it seem like the movies. I'm probably going to be pretty pleased.
Yeah. But
even aside from that, I'm intrigued and I want to see what comes next.
Yeah. So far I'm intrigued, but mostly just by this one piece of it. I wanted a little more meat on the bones on this first episode. I wanted to really know what was going on, at least in the event, what is the adventure we're embarking on. But I think that'll be next episode. I think that'll be the explanation we get from Crusher, or Crusher's son, in this next episode. So I'm excited.
I am too. I'm here for it.
Me too, man. Well, guys, we are the Star Trek universe. We're going to be on here talking about Picard every week as these episodes drop, giving our thoughts. If you guys write in at Star Trek Universe... what is it? Star Trek Ucast, right?
Yeah, Star Trek Ucast at gmail.com.
Star Trek Ucast at gmail.com. And you can write in and maybe we'll get to do a good a feedback episode or something for these episodes. I'm really excited for Picard, and I hope all you guys out there are too. We'll be back soon. Jolon True.
Live long and prosper.
Thank
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.